Is women's sports important? And we have a guest tonight that's going to help us to understand why it's so important. Tonight we have Connor Lewis, the head coach for the Minnesota Vixen professional football team for women. Connor, are you with us?
I am.
Connor,
How's it going, Eric?
Hey, how are you doing?
I'm doing great.
It is such an honor to have you here. And, you know, I have been a huge supporter of the Minnesota Vixen, seen so many games. I've sponsored my niece, Amanda, who played for the team for many, many years. And first of all, can you tell us a little bit about the Vixen and even the league for those listeners that have not yet heard about the Minnesota Vixen?
Yes, of course. So the Minnesota Vixen were the longest running professional women's football team in the United States. We play in the WFA, Women's Football Alliance. I believe there are about 60 teams in the alliance, and that there's tiers. So we have development leagues all the way up to the pro league, which is what the Minnesota Vixen are in.
Yeah.
Our season is in the spring. We play games to the end of April through July 27th is the championship this year. It will be aired on ESPN2.
Wow.
And we're full tackle, women's tackle football. Our rules are NCAA rules. You know, we have helmets, shoulder pads, everything's the same. We have a slightly smaller football. And other than that, that's the game we're playing.
It's so awesome. And congratulations on being the head coach.
Thank you. Thank you.
I know that you did a little bit of time internship with the Ravens, the Baltimore Ravens. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I got this wonderful opportunity last training camp, so I guess 2 years ago now, 2022, to be a part of the coaching staff with the Baltimore Ravens for their training camp. I was there for 3 weeks, working with tight ends and fullbacks, and then also with their analytics staff. I have my degree is in biostatistics, and I'm a data scientist, actually working in the sports space as well for my day-to-day job. And through the women's, and this may be a good segue even to what we'll be talking about more, but I took part in the NFL Women's Career Forum in 2022, and through that I made connections with NFL teams. And my time with the Vixen set me up for that because I had the football background. Yeah. It got me in the door to have these conversations with people in the NFL.
You know, what I've noticed with women's sports is that it makes it into the news, and maybe not for all the reasons we want it to be in there. But a quick question for you is, how have you seen the perspectives of women's sports changing over the years?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. So one of the biggest things is, you know, I'm only 30, so I haven't seen the whole progression of women's sports. I recently went to the National Girls and Women's Sports Day event in Minnesota, and I was able to hear from many former athletes and coaches. There's a woman that was 94 there that was telling us about her experiences, and it kind of hit home of like how much has changed in the past 30, 40, 50, 60 years, where, you know, women used to not even get an opportunity. Girls didn't even get an opportunity to play a sport. Right. And now, you know, especially with Title IX, but we at least, you know, we're getting the opportunity the last 30-ish years, and more money was being invested. And now we're getting to the point, I feel, that women are no longer needing to fight for the opportunity to even have the opportunity to play. It's being seen that it should just happen.
100%.
We don't even have to deserve it. It's just there, and it's a part of how culture is shifting. Yeah. And that's great to see. We don't have to constantly prove ourselves that we're worthy of these opportunities that our male counterparts have received for all of time.
Well, and there's still a lot of shifts that need to happen. But one of the biggest ones is I have so much respect for everyone on the Vixen team because these women are playing football and basically paying their way to play. Is that fair to say?
Yep, that's correct.
Yeah. And they actually help raise money so they can travel So they don't have the league money yet, but that is a shift that 100% needs to come about sooner than later. But true champions, I mean, absolutely true champions, not only playing full contact football, but paying to play. And the games are exciting.
Right.
Now,
yeah, we've had a lot of people come out to our games that are pleasantly surprised with the level of play that the product that we put on the field.
There's no doubt. What do you feel is the biggest challenge for women's football right now? Is it perspectives? People have a hard time believing women play tackle football.
I would say that's a part of it. Just the casual conversation. Lots of our players get asked, is this full pads? Is all these kinds of questions that come off of from everybody, honestly, from everyone, from men, women, everybody, because they haven't heard of it.
Yeah.
So to me, actually, the biggest thing is marketing. Getting the word out there, showing our product, showing that this is something worth watching, worth viewing, worth participating in.
Right.
That's probably the biggest challenge.
Yeah.
And it's getting better. We've had some. There's even been commercials like during the NFL last year with female football players.
Yeah.
So things are changing. It takes a lot of effort and a lot of people are making sacrifices to push it forward.
Well, and maybe you can clarify this for me, but I've heard that the NFL is starting to recognize women's football more as far as recognizing the teams or maybe even showing support for them.
Yeah, I think that's true in different spaces. Okay. I think one of the biggest things that the NFL is recognizing is that the women's football has almost been a pipeline. So most of the coaches in the NFL that are women have come from the WFA.
Oh, okay.
Because how do you become a coach? You typically you've played the sport. So the WFA has given women the opportunity to play and then maybe even coach. Someone like myself, the sport. And gain that experience that they then can take in other spaces. So like Jennifer King, Katie Sowers, they've all played. Angela Baker, she's with the Giants. They've all played tackle football before.
And you've had women on the Minnesota Vixen that have been on for a long time, some over 15 years.
Yeah, just this last year we had 2 players retired that had started playing in 1999, Red and Moose.
Wow.
Yep.
Oh, that's incredible. So for you, what is your vision for the Minnesota Vixen just in the next few years? What are you hoping to see and bring about with the Minnesota Vixen?
I mean, I think the top of the list for us is a championship. We've been to the national championship 2 of the last 3 years.
That's awesome.
Have not made the final push. The Boston Renegades, they're kind of the Patriots of the 2000s. Like they just keep winning their dynasty. So someone's got to
somebody has to knock them off of there.
Put it together and take them down. Yep, exactly. So that's the overall goal. But in the process, I'm big in player development.
Okay.
So it's developing these players. We get players that have never played football before. They're athletes, but maybe they've never played football. So especially the first few months is amazing to see their progression of being an athlete to now moving like a football player.
So
and knowing what you mean when you say cover 3 or a blitz package or whatever it might be. Seeing that grow and seeing their confidence grow with it is huge.
Well, and your fan base is growing. You can see it when you go to the games.
Yes, that's also very true. It's amazing that more people go out and they might be wearing Vixen gear and someone will stop them and they're like, oh, I went to a game last year. I saw you on ESPN 2 years ago, and have that type of connection, which is amazing to see with our fan base.
So just as we kind of bring it here together right now, when does the season start up?
Yeah, so our first game will be May 4th, and it's a home game. And then we have 6 games over the next 7 weeks after that.
Well, and I want to encourage everyone listening to spread the word about the Minnesota Vixen. I want to encourage people to get some some tickets to not only go see the games, but also reach out and help sponsor these women playing, help elevate women's sports. And Connor, what is the best way for them to find out more information about the team so they can support it and help sponsor it?
Yeah, the best way is mnvixen.com. That's our website. It has all the information. You're able to contact the owners if there's something. If you want to do a sponsorship, you can read about the players on the team, the coaches on staff, and our schedule.
Hey, so for everybody out there that says you support women's sports, we just gave you a way to do it for real. And Connor, I just want to say again, congratulations on being the head coach of the Minnesota Vixen, and thank you so much for taking some time to share a little bit more about why women's sports is so important.
Awesome. Thank you for having me, Eric.
You're very welcome.